pictures with the youth. A big round of applause, everyone, again for our honorable dignitaries. A very good morning to the honorable dignitaries, panelists, youth, and those joining us in the audience in person and online. I welcome you all to the Impact with Youth Conclave 2023. My name is Anushka. I'm 20 years old. I'm a youth advisor and a member of the Young People Action Team at UNICEF India, YuWaah, and I also work on gender equality and climate.
And I am Anurag, and my pronouns are they, them. I'm a 22-year-old neurodivergent, non-binary LGBTQ+ advocate from Kerala. Both of us are alumni of the Young People's Action Team, and we are your co-hosts for today.
Today, on this incredible occasion of the International Youth Day, we're all gathered here to talk about this year's skills. New skills are transversal and technical skills, knowledge, abilities, attitudes, behaviors that enable and sustain a resource-efficient society. Even those skills that while their persons require inspiration. 8% the share of youth talent is at 6%. So acquiring these skills can be a huge asset to a young person's capabilities and profile. Sadly, not everybody has the same privilege to acquire these skills. The climate crisis, it is the vulnerable bear the brunt of it all. Thus, it is vital that we put down with the skills that will enable them to transition to a personal future. Transition to sustainable development. So that we have experts in the movement. So that would be the challenges. So that and take the guys. I will try to start everyone. Nice to work you all again. Our first speaker for the day is a passionate leader, a champion for women, child rights, and youth representation, who has served UNICEF for over 2 decades. I'm very proud to invite to the podium Ms. Cynthia McCaffrey, representative of UNICEF India, to give her welcome address. Let's give her a huge round of applause and welcome her.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, and just a very good morning to everyone here and also across South Asia who's joining us online. And welcome to International Youth Day 2023. Since 1999, the UN and the world have recognized Youth Day on August 12th for 2 reasons. One is to raise awareness about the challenges and the opportunities that face youth, and also to commend the role of youth in helping to identify those challenges and come up with solutions to address them together. So with that welcome, let me give a very extraordinary warm welcome to our honored guest, Shri Anurag Thakur, the Honorable Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports and Information and Broadcasting, to Mr. Sanjay Vijayasekera, the Regional Director for UNICEF, Mr. Shombi Sharp, the Resident Coordinator for the United Nations India, Shri Nitesh Kumar, Joint Secretary of Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, to a number of our stellar change makers who we will hear from shortly, who are joining us from India, but also from across the region, friends from the United Nations. And I just want to name them because One UN is here in full force today. ILO, UNDP, UNEP, UNFPA, UN Women, UNOPS, UN Volunteers, UNHCR, UNESCO, and UNODC. A lot of acronyms. I can tell you all about them during lunch. And also our friends from across YuWaah, UNICEF, and the ministry who pulled this together, and friends from the media. With that, I want to just give an extra special thank you to you, Honorable Minister, for bringing us together and truly building on the energy of youth across India and bringing that energy to convene youth from across the region. It's very meaningful that we don't just talk about how we engage youth, but we really have action to do it. And you're enabling us to do that, sir. I just want to make 2 points before we kick in and really dig into some of the issues. First is the demographic that you young people represent. It's a dynamic demographic with dividends. First of all, you are big, and we talk about that a lot. Half of the world's population is under the age of 30. We're hosting this event today it is among the youngest region and the youngest country in the world. So you are a big group of people. Second is you may be the most innovative generation we've ever seen. You were born digital. You navigate digital from the very beginning of your lives. And so you have a connectivity and an adeptness with digital and innovation that we can build on and learn from. And finally, you are committed. One of the number one questions that we have is, what do young people, whenever UNICEF asks, what do young people want? What are they worried about? The number one answer is inevitably, we want to make sure we have a meaningful, sustained livelihood. So you're not wanting to sit on the sidelines. You're interested in working, contributing, and you're committed to doing that. So that's why you're not just a large demographic, you're a truly dynamic demographic that we want to build on. My second and final point that we'll probably talk about a bit more is skilling. And we talk a lot about how to equip young people with skills for the 21st century. What we see is when we give you opportunities, you come up with ideas and you seize them. I had the opportunity to travel in Gujarat just over a week ago. And I saw how government schemes at the panchayat level, at the local level of India, how support to families in homes enabled adolescents. And particularly, I met adolescent girls who, given the opportunities and the support from their local leaders and from their families, were not only staying in school, but had aspirations. So I met young Maya, who's just completed grade 12, and in September will study nursing. And her sisters are not far behind, interested in becoming an IT expert, and her youngest sister, Pooja, plans to become a doctor. So when you're given skills and opportunities, you take your aspirations and you bring that to life. So thank you. This is a very good day. This day, August 12th, 2023, to talk about youth, green skills, and how we can come together around green skills to make an impact positively for the climate and for the future of India, the region, and the rest of the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Cynthia, for your sincere recollection, and a big shout out to the numerous youth leaders who dot the landscape of India and the region at large. Next, we welcome Shri Nitesh Kumar Mishra, Joint Secretary and Director General NYK's Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, to present the opening remarks.
Thank you. Honorable Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports and Information and Broadcasting, Government of India, Shri Anurag Singh Thakur ji, dignitaries from UN, esteemed delegates, speakers, and everyone present today on the occasion of International Youth Day 2023. Namaskar and warm greetings to you on the occasion of International Youth Day. Power of youth engagement is incredibly important and central to Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. The ministry is committed to the twin objective of leadership development and nation building, that is developing the leadership of youth and involving them in various nation building activities. This should aid in the development of youth as individuals and enable them to determine the future of the country. Working with young people, we have an enormous opportunity to transform India and world's future. The International Youth Day is commemorated every year on 12th August, bringing youth issues to the attention of international community and celebrating the potential of youth as partners in today's global society. The theme for this year, Green Skills for Youth Towards a Sustainable Development, is very appropriate as the world is gearing to embark on a green transition. Here I would like to add that our Honorable Prime Minister has given a clarion call of Mission Life for having a lifestyle based on sustainability. Preparing our youth for this new future is very critical since young people are the innovators, creators, builders, and leaders of the future. To achieve these goals, the ministry has introduced different schemes such as Rashtriya Yuva Sashaktikarana Karyakram and National Service Scheme. Our Honorable Minister has taken the initiative and leading the implementation of concept youth as stakeholder in policy formulation. He has introduced the schemes Neighborhood Parliament in district, where the youth come and discuss with the stakeholders, with the local MP, with the local MLAs regarding their problems and their suggestions. Then he has introduced YuWaah Utsav, which gives a platform to show the youth their creativity and their creative side. And then he has introduced YuWaah Samvad, where all over country, in all the district, where youth can come and have a two-way dialogue. Our youth minister had a very successful YuWaah Samvad, even with the delegates of Y20, which is a part of G20 on international forum. It was a two-way dialogue where all the suggestions were taken and all the suggestions were taken and incorporated for the future. This has been very successful all over India. Thank you, Honorable Minister, sir, for leading from front. MOYAS and UNICEF YuWaah has collaborated on many schemes. I can name one of them, that is each one help one, and under passport to earning and providing skill and leadership qualities to youth. We look forward to partnering with UNICEF and YuWaah to further empower and partner with young people, expanding their learning, skill development, employment, and engagement opportunities, and support young people in shaping a sustainable world for all people and the planet, which is the true spirit of Mission Life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mishra, for sharing your enlightening words. Please have a seat. Now, my co-host Reshma will introduce all of you to the main program for the day.
Thank you, Anushka. I'm sure our audience is excited to see what we have in store for the day. So the main program for today is an intergenerational panel discussion on creating pro-planet impact with the youth of South Asia. For this discussion, we are joined online and in person by a formidable cohort of pro-planet champions, young and old, from across the South Asian region. The panel discussion will be moderated by Ms. Dwarika Sriram, And now I hand over the floor to Ms. Dwaraga Sriram to take forward the panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reshma, for the warm welcome. Without further ado, I would like to introduce to you our esteemed panelists for the discussions. In the hall in Chennai, we are joined by the Honorable Minister, Shri Anurag Thakur Singh, Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Ms. Cynthia McCarthy, the country representative of UNICEF India, Hasini Lakshmi Narayan, our youth representative from India. Hasini is a 40-year-old youth advocate who passionately works on child rights and climate action. She's a young leader and a TEDx speaker, believes in breaking barriers, and is dedicated to building a sustainable world by inspiring young people through her work. With us online, it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Sanjay Vijayasekara, who is our Regional Director for UNICEF South Asia, Mr. Shombi Shah, who is the UN Resident Coordinator in India, and a constellation of youth leaders from the South Asia region. Welcome, everyone, for joining us. First, I would like to introduce you to Preeti Saka from Nepal. Preeti is a climate enthusiast and a passionate environmentalist, currently working as a climate youth consultant with UNICEF Nepal. She is also a member of the Youth Advisory Group for Environmental and Climate Justice with the UNDP, Regional Asia Pacific, and advocates for safe, sustainable, resilient future for all. Second, we have Tarushi Veerasinghe from Sri Lanka. Tarushi is a fellow grantee at the Earth Journalism Network and was recently awarded a fellowship called the Climate Change Media Partnership and the Stanley Center for Peace and Security, through which she was able to cover COP27 on ground in Egypt. She is passionate about working on social issues, including climate change and child rights. Third, we have Zara Atif from Maldives. Zara works in the environmental research field after graduating with a BSc in psychology. As a research assistant for a Maldivian NGO, Small Island Geographic Society, she's heavily involved in community engagement and social outreach to promote youth engagement on climate change and ocean science. We have Tenzin Wangmo from Bhutan. Tenzin currently serves as a member of the Adolescents and Youth Advisory Panel under UN Bhutan. Tenzin aims to bridge the gap between academic knowledge and practical applications through community engagement, policy advocacy, and research. And last but not least, we have Qazi Toki Yasir from Bangladesh. Qazi is a Partnerships and Resource Mobilization Associate at Bangladesh Youth Environmental Initiative, a nonprofit working to raise awareness about the ongoing ecological and climate crisis. Qazi is committed to creating a world where nature and humans coexist in harmony. My first question is to Mr. Sanjay Vijayasekara. Sanjay, as the Regional Director, UNICEF South Asia, can you share with us your reflections on the pulse and potential of young people in South Asia and their role in shaping the climate change agenda? Over to you, Sanjay.
Dwaraka, thank you very much for that question. And Honorable Minister, Joint Secretary, Shombi, Cynthia, Anushka, Reshma, all the colleagues and friends in the room, good morning to you and namaste from Kathmandu. First, I would like to thank the Government of India and the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports and Minister Thakur himself and the distinguished delegates for today's gathering and creating this important platform on International Youth Day. On behalf of UNICEF, also, I'd like to say or convey our appreciation for India's stewardship of the G20 presidency and taking an inclusive approach to addressing global challenges rooted in the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that the world is one family. I recently was in Gandhinagar to attend the E20 ministerial meeting, the G20 element on women-led development, seeking to empower women and girls. And I saw how India's convening was so critical in engaging nations around the world to agree on tangible actions that will help unleash the power of adolescent girls and boys and young people. So it's an approach that is exemplified by the collaborative spirit of young people from India and across South Asia. Those who are with us at this session today and those in the region beyond this room and across this, as Cynthia described, this really young and vibrant region. And UNICEF as well is a child and youth powered organization committed to making young people equal partners in everything we do. So nothing about them without them. Through our collaborations, from skills development and capacity building for jobs to career guidance to volunteering and change making, we aim to co-create a sustainable environment for and with young people while safeguarding their rights and harnessing the connectivity to accelerate green skills and youth entrepreneurship, particularly around climate action. So South Asia's demographic landscape is characterized by this remarkable young generation who call the region home, and young people with the potential to reshape the planet's trajectory and influence the dynamics in the region and beyond, the potential to catalyze change, to innovate, to rise up, and to be the change that they wish to see for themselves and their communities. And we see their impact. They're acquiring green skills and pursuing green jobs, advocating for change, starting climate projects, and leading the drive to adapt to a changing climate. And yet less than 1% of global climate philanthropic funds is dedicated to supporting youth-led actions. So this needs to change. It is crucial that the public and private sectors significantly increase commitment and investments in young people to support young people. So as UNICEF ramps up our own support for youth-led climate and eco-friendly actions, the power of young people becomes increasingly clear. And we saw some examples, like I think earlier in the video. So take, for example, the Green Rising, an ambitious initiative for UNICEF, by UNICEF, Generation Unlimited, and partners to support millions of young people in climate-affected areas to take meaningful actions to protect their communities through volunteerism, advocacy, skills, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Youth-driven actions in their communities range from environmentally friendly water conservation practices in India to learning about solar energy and installing solar panels in Bangladesh. Or our Upshift program, which is a global initiative empowering young people, especially from disadvantaged communities, to identify local challenges and address them through entrepreneurial solutions, learning valuable transferable skills. In Bhutan, Upshift is supporting youth to use technology and coding skills to develop learning and counseling platforms, designing prototypes for solutions to safe sanitation, while others are collecting food waste from their schools to produce fertilizers and biogas to reduce dependence on firewood. And the global Green Shark Challenge that was launched with the UNDP in 2021 unleashed the young people's creativity and skills. So this challenge brings together marginalized communities, staff from the United Nations, national counterparts, to co-create, co-design, and collaboratively scale solutions to global climate challenges. And winning solutions have tackled issues like bio-waste management, solid waste management, and youth environment living labs. The UN Secretary General said that making peace with nature is the defining task of the 21st century. And UNICEF is responding by scaling up our own programs to address the planetary crisis. Our action plan on sustainability and climate change aims to empower every child with the education, skills, and developmental opportunities to be champions for sustainability and to provide them with the platforms they need to make real policy change. And this focus brings our work into alignment with the efforts of young people across this region. It is well aligned with Preeti's efforts in Nepal advocating for climate change. It resonates with Tarushi's commitment to children's rights in Sri Lanka, and Tenzin's focus on sustainable agriculture in Bhutan, and Fazana's climate action for children and young people in Bangladesh. So these young people making a difference across South Asia exemplify the power of youth engagement and activism. Hasini's inspiring efforts in youth empowerment, or Kazi's pursuit of a harmonious coexistence between nature and humans, and Rubina's impactful work in environmental education all collectively showcase the potential for positive change, reminding us that even amid complex global challenges, young people can inspire hope and drive meaningful transformation towards a better, more resilient world. And at this time, hope more than anything else is really important. So as we embark on this journey together to combat climate change and its effects, I'd like to recognize India's role as a regional leader in driving solutions and fostering international cooperation. The potential for transformative change lies in the hands of our young people, who are not just beneficiaries of our efforts, but also torchbearers of innovation and action. By nurturing their ideas, empowering their voices, and amplifying their impact, we're safeguarding the well-being of our planet and cultivating a generation of change makers who will shape the destiny of South Asia and beyond. So we stand on the cusp of a greener and more sustainable future, and young people in South Asia can really tip the balance. So let us collaborate, empower, and inspire each other, recognizing that young people's contributions today will shape the course of tomorrow. Thank you, Dwaraka. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Sanjay, for setting the broader context of the South Asian landscape, and in doing so, turning the spotlight on some of our young champions right here with us. I shall follow your lead and move on to Preeti from Nepal. So Preeti, I would like you to reflect on your rich experiences advocating for climate and sustainability. What does a day in the life of Preeti look like? Can you recall a moment when you tasted success? Over to you, Preeti.
Thank you so much for the questions. Greeting to everyone who's present here for the event. So going back to the question and talking about my experiences, it has been a while that I have been working in the sectors of climate sustainability and advocating for it, but many things have changed over the time. Back in 2018, when I started, climate change was already identified as a threat to the existence of living creatures on Earth, but not everybody knew about it. It was an agenda of work for a dedicated ministry and a topic of discussion over the cup of tea to the people. But as of now, we can see an increased number of people who are aware and cautious about the changing climate in many different forms that's affecting their livelihoods. Like for the farmers, it's about changing in the rainfall pattern. For the mountaineers, it's about the snow-less rocky mountains, and many others in different other forms. Not only that, climate change has also been introduced and integrated by different sectoral ministries and the government itself into their areas and different policies. But still, mainstreaming and prioritizing the climate agenda still remain for effective actions. At the same time, looking back to the engagement of young people, it was limited to a few groups and few numbers of young people working in this sector. But now there is an increased level of participation of young people from diverse backgrounds and different regions. And alongside, I see a need of additional investment and opportunities in order to increase and improve the participation and meaningful engagement of the young people. For me, like every day is a new learning day. So every day at work, at school, or wherever I am, I keep searching for things that I have noted down in my notebook, something that I have never heard about, something that is new to me, or something that I have been unaware about till date. For instance, I'm looking around circular economy, which is one of the hot topics going around on climate finance and climate sustainability. So a day in my life would probably look like scrolling around some articles on the hot topics that I want to know about, and also engaging with local community people and children in order to capture their voices and stories, because their voices are are the inputs for our next plan for advocacy, alongside awareing and capacitating them with the skills and the knowledge that we have, and also connecting with the other climate activists and practitioners, talking and sharing about the works happening, and also planning for some coordination and collaboration for the upcoming works, continuing and leveraging the climate action. So going back to 2018 when I started, I still remember March 15, 2018 when I started working as a campaign coordinator for a youth-led network called Nepalese Youth for Climate Action here in Nepal. And I was assigned with my first event to handle as a lead. And we were having a climate strike, and I was supposed to build on the content and other materials and invite as many as people possible to join us that day. Despite of all the preparations we had, me being a bit skeptical about the day, I was only expecting a few people to join us in the event that day. But the presence of more than hundreds of young people with their own flyers and posters joining us that day at the place marked a record for me. And I believe that is the day that marked the journey, the starting of my journey, and the day of my success in the beginning. That would not have been possible without the support of my other team members and all others that have joined us today. And also working with many other young people from different nooks and corners and contributing to a better world makes me feel the taste of success every single day, because I believe that every day is a day of success when I'm able to contribute to a better world for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Preeti, for sharing your journey with us. And I think it truly resonated with all of us, especially with all our fellow panelists here with us. Every day is a success, and how can we really contribute back to the society? So now let us hear from Tarushi from Sri Lanka. Tarushi, I would like you to shed light on some of the ways in which you think decision makers can enhance and amplify youth voices and collective action on climate change. Over to you, Tarushi.
Thank you, Ms. Sriram. So to start off with, I think it's important that we establish that climate change and environmental issues are intergenerational issues, which means that the generations that were around to cause it will not necessarily be the generations that are around to deal with it, which is why young people and key decision makers should make collective efforts to amplify whatever climate action we take. I think a good starting point to ensure meaningful youth engagement is seeking accountability from relevant stakeholders, which can serve as a great tool to keep checks and balances. Youth-led movements should be seen as a unique opportunity, a window into the broader demographic of young people who are offering an unfiltered and impassioned perspective on critical issues like climate change. These powerful calls for attention can serve as an opportunity for dialogue, which embody the urgency and the depth of the concerns that resonate with youth in their communities who often face the grassroots level brunt of climate change. This then leads me to a crucial aspect, letting young people into the decision-making table. A pivotal step in achieving and giving young people this seat is identifying what keeps them away from these seats. And something that I have seen, a challenge that I have seen quite often is financial hardship, and the other is bureaucratic hurdles. It's important to acknowledge that most youth representatives are often not fairly compensated for their contribution to shaping policies. This financial disparity often limits the participation of a significant demographic of young people, which then means that their voices are prevented from being fully integrated into conversations that directly impact their future and lives. So in order to truly enhance and empower youth voices, we have to recognize and account for the economic and social challenges that they navigate on their journey of engagement. Where bureaucracy is concerned, I think this again is an opportunity for a transformative shift in mindset. Let's embrace and value the voices of young individuals who engage passionately in shaping the discourse on this critical issue. Instead of viewing their involvement as a clash of perspectives, we should take the opportunity to recognize the immense potential that lies in collaboration, a partnership where youth and decision makers become a unified team working towards a common goal. And this change in perspective does not need to be limited to government bodies alone. Non-state actors and private entities have a pivotal role to play. Increased private-public partnerships can provide the necessary support and resources we need to empower young people. And these partnerships can create avenues for high-level discussions such as this, where their ideas and insights are exchanged and integrated into policy considerations. By fostering a culture of open dialogue like this, I believe that we not only break down barriers, but also tap into the energy and innovation that was spoken of earlier that the youth bring to the table. This approach can transcend the traditional boundaries and position us on a path towards more effective and inclusive decision-making, which ensures that the future we shape is one that truly reflects the aspirations and concerns of young people. And at this point, so far, we have discussed avenues through which decision makers can involve young people in identifying the challenges caused by climate change. And we have also discussed how we can bring young people to the table to discuss solutions to it. However, we know that the true measure of impact, particularly where climate action is concerned, lies in the translation of thoughts and intentions into tangible actions. It is when the discussions held at the national level evolve into concrete policies that real change is achieved. So I would like to emphasize that creating meaningful spaces for youth action and representation should extend beyond a mere formality. A genuine commitment to harness the transformative potential of young voices has to include more inclusion. I would like to walk into rooms where discussions like this take place and know that I am not the only person my age, I am not the only person from my generation here for this discussion that is going to affect my generation the most. Continuous engagement with youth perspectives like the one we are having today are important to ensure that whatever youth engagement we have is not merely tokenistic and instead fosters a more substantive dialogue. The true testament of our commitment to addressing climate change lies in our actions beyond symbolic gestures. By genuinely valuing and integrating youth voices throughout the policymaking process, we can drive impactful change and forge a sustainable path forward. So we need to recognize that every day is an opportunity to collaborate, and every policy decision is a chance to shape a future that respects our concerns and aspirations as the generation that will deal with the impacts. UNICEF Sri Lanka in 2018, they partnered with the Department of Probation and Childcare Services on risk reduction, which essentially brought the ideas and concerns of approximately 25,000 children to address the climate challenges in their communities. And they now take a lead in dealing with the identified issues.
I think, unfortunately, we have lost Tarushi. We'll try to have her back at some point. But thank you so much, Tarushi, for sharing your knowledge and information with us. I can speak on behalf of the development partners in the room and online when I say that your recommendations have been well received and we will persevere to deliver better. On that note, I would like to now shift the focus to Shombi, who's joining us from Delhi. Shombi, we would have loved to have you here amidst us in person, but equally delighted that you could grace us online and virtually. As the UN Resident Coordinator in India, I invite you to reflect on the United Nations' steady increase in commitment and programming around climate change, environmental sustainability, and related areas, especially in the years post the pandemic. So would love to hear your thoughts and reflections on this. Over to you, Shombi.
Thank you, Dwarka. Greetings from Delhi. I hope that you can hear me and see me all right.
Yes, we can.
Let me especially appreciate the leadership of Sri Anurag Singh Thakur, Honorable Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India, as well as Sri Nitesh Kumar Mishra, Honorable Joint Secretary, Ministry of Youth Affairs. I wish I could be there with all of you today. Absolutely. Greetings to all of the colleagues from UNICEF. Thank you for bringing us all together with the government. To all of the colleagues from the UN family, as was mentioned, civil society, businesses, and especially greetings to all of the young change makers who have joined us from across South Asia, both in person and online. Happy International Youth Day to all of us. It's not going to be easy to follow such powerful thoughts that has already been shared by the youth advocates on this fantastic panel. And again, I do truly wish I could be there with you in Chennai in person. It looks like you're having a lot of fun. I did have the privilege to join the G20W20 summit in Mahabalipuram just a few weeks ago, and was truly impressed by the people and by the natural beauty. So I wish I could have been back there again today. Dear friends, I think that, as has been mentioned in the words of the Secretary General Antonio Guterres, very unfortunately, humanity, and this is mainly the consequences of the actions of the older generations, of my generation, the generations that won't face the greatest consequences, but humanity is still essentially waging war on nature, and nature is increasingly striking back. Our actions are really just pushing our only home, our only planet Earth, further and further into a triple planetary crisis of pollution, of biodiversity loss, the climate emergency. And we see that this is happening absolutely everywhere. I mean, last month globally was the hottest month on record, the hottest day ever recorded. Pretty much, if you want to see, look at what was the hottest year, you just look at the last year, and it just goes up and up like that. The headlines that we read are are filled with communities that are burning. Hawaii, Europe, you look all over the place, and as the Secretary General is noticing that it's no longer global warming that we speak about, but it's global boiling. And then, microplastics, we see that microplastics are now found literally everywhere in our environment, from the human womb to the very deepest depths of the sea, and on and on and on. So it's quite easy to get very depressed about everything that's happening, but instead we need to be motivated to action. And there is good news, a lot of good news, and a lot of reasons to be optimistic. And I think today, really, we are celebrating the confluence of two very important streams of optimism. First, we do have the solutions. We have the solutions at hand to ensure a livable, bright future for our planet. But we must act. It's a question of time and investment. The Sustainable Development Goals remain our best agreed blueprint for peace and prosperity across the world by 2030, together with commitments made by countries to limit this global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade. And I would like to particularly note India's leadership at the moment, the presidency of the G20, which is so timely, so important. The summit, the G20 summit in Delhi, will happen on 9th and 10th of September, which is literally a handshake with the global SDG summit, the midterm stocktake, which comes just 8 days later. And I think there it's important to reflect how much India has worked to put the SDGs at the center of the global financial conversation, developing the G20 SDG Acceleration Action Plan. And in fact, so much so aligned with the SDGs that I like to call India's presidency an SDG 20. We've truly appreciated the focus on women-led development, on just green transitions, on digital public infrastructure, on and on and on. The list is long. The second stream of optimism is the young generation, as we're talking about, and especially here in South Asia. As Cynthia started off by noting, this is the greatest youth generation in history. More young minds bringing thoughts and ideas and creativity and energy to these challenges than ever before. And just like we've heard from the young advocates on the panel now, and as I've seen over and over and over in the best part of my job is to travel across India to meet with communities, meet with young people, and to see firsthand the incredible dynamism that young people are bringing to this climate action challenges. The Secretary General's, our common agenda, our collective UN common agenda, calls on all governments to make youth participation and leadership in climate action, especially the norm rather than an exception, as we've just been hearing from our young colleagues here, to be at the decision-making tables. And very much, again, appreciate the leadership of the Honorable Minister, of the Ministry, and the government partners and civil society partners in making this a reality. This year's theme, very timely, green skills for youth, reminds us that the successful transitions to a sustainable and greener world depend on ensuring that young people have the skills, the knowledge, the attitudes for a green economy. And this is increasingly also within the realm of soft skills and engaging in the digital world, digital reality, artificial intelligence, all of that. And the benefits are truly, potential benefits are truly massive. A recent report, for example, estimates that India alone has the potential to create 35 million green jobs by 2047. I think that's the Amrit call. And we at the United Nations, from the global, the regional to the country levels, are committed to ensuring and helping young people bridge this skill gap, this employability gap, working with the private sector, partnerships with governments to ensure that youth have the opportunities both to get jobs and to have a prosperous future, but to do so in the green sectors and renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, waste management, climate resilience, these sorts of areas. And really, it's a win-win. Every dollar invested in the green economy is going to yield 3 times as many jobs as the old economy. So we in India, the UN in India, and the country team with many of the representatives are there today, have put these issues and youth leadership at the core of our brand new UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, our 5-year partnership platform with India, which was just signed a couple of months ago here today. For example, we've got Global Green Jobs for Youth Pact launched by ILO, UNEP, UNICEF, working with youth, governments, social partners to boost decent green jobs for young people. The Partnership for Action on Green Economy, PAGE, is a multi-agency partnership with the government exploring and with businesses exploring possibilities to link just energy transition and green jobs for youth. YuWaah, this partnership with the Ministry of Environment to launch the Merry Life portal is truly dynamic, driving collective action, responding to Honorable Prime Minister Modi's call for mission life, lifestyles for the environment. A fantastic kind of marriage of technology and young people across not just the country of India, but it's a global initiative as well. If I can just make a quick selfish plug for a YuWaah podcast that is launching today. I had the great privilege and honor to have really a fun and inspiring conversation with 2 YuWaah youth advocates, Mansi and Siraj, and that one is just launched today. So try to have a search for the YuWaah podcast. You can listen to our conversation. So I think, let me just conclude in saying that really to tap this incredible demographic dividend that is facing South Asia and India in particular, the gender dividend is central to that. So we have to create the environment in which not only young people, but especially young women and girls are able to achieve their full potential and not be faced with arbitrary social barriers and other restrictions like that. So together, truly, the youth dividend, demographic dividend, gender equality, these are the game-changing streams that will lead us to a prosperous and bright green future. So thank you again, everybody, for the opportunity to be there with you virtually speaking. I wish you all, again, a very happy International Youth Day. I'm looking forward to the rest of the conversations. And really, truly, together, we can achieve anything, and we will. Very optimistic about that. Thank you so much, and please enjoy the lunch for me after the conversation.
Thank you, Shombi, for painting a comprehensive picture of UN's concurrent initiatives and endeavors and how we are integrating and foregrounding climate and young people's leadership across our strategic priorities. Tarushi, I'm so sorry the internet was playing an issue, and hope you're back and joining us as well. We will now ask Kazi. I'd like to bring in you now to the conversation. As someone who works on nurturing partnerships, what are the innovative strategies that can be leveraged by young people to seek collaboration on climate action?
Thank you, Ms. Sriram, and greetings from Dhaka, everyone. In my experience, the first thing that you could do as a youth is, set up your own goals and objectives. And once you know what you really want to do, you should spend enough time identifying the right stakeholders, which could be government agencies, private sectors, civil society organizations, or even academia. For example, at our organizations, we focus on building knowledge and consciousness of youth. We also work to improve livelihoods. And each of these requires us to work with stakeholders of different types and at different levels. So when we work on knowledge and consciousness, we mainly focus on building partnerships with academia. And for livelihood, we try to also involve government agencies as well as the private sector. So we have also started to build partnerships with local institutions because they have a strong influence over local communities and are very effective when we are trying to work at grassroots levels. So whichever is the case, it's a good idea to do a bit of research and and make sure that you reach out to stakeholders whose objectives are aligned with yours. And in some cases, you might find it difficult to directly engage stakeholders. What you can do is you can tap into your existing network. And there is always a chance that people have connections to other people who are working in your field of interest. And once you have identified potential partners, you need to develop a strategy for approaching them. Each type of stakeholder will have different needs and expectations. So it's important that you tailor your approach accordingly. And also, make sure when you reach them, you are clear about what you hope to achieve and how it aligns with their interests. And your credibility is also going to play an important role here when you first approach a potential partner. So it is a good idea to have a way to showcase the work that you have done so far, which could for example involve having your own portfolio of work. And once you build a partnership, it is also important to maintain and nurture it. This means living up to your promises, delivering quality work, and actively engaging your partners with your work. In that way, you are more likely to get, support in the future. And I would also, suggest all the youths to get involved in youth networks and, to attend seminars and conferences, workshops that are relevant to your work, because this is a great way to meet other young people and professionals, who could potentially become your partners. And it will also, help you uncover new opportunities for collaboration. So building partnerships isn't easy. You have to be consistent and you have to, keep building your network and keep regular contact with people. But please remember that, there is no shame in reaching out to people and asking for help, especially when working on climate change, because it is not possible to, to work alone and do anything meaningful otherwise. And I would end here by requesting our honorable guests and audiences to, support the young champions and help them with their initiatives whenever they reach out to you. Because as Ms. Cynthia had mentioned earlier, the youth make up a good population in South Asia. In Bangladesh alone, there are currently over 50 million young people. And we need these young people, to solve this global crisis that we're dealing with and we have to deal with. Thank you once again for giving me this opportunity to join this wonderful meeting. Over to you, Ms. Sriram.
Thank you so much, Kazi. Some excellent suggestions there, and hope the young people and decision makers joining us today have taken note and will be able to test and further sharpen some of these tactics. So I would like to now come back to our panelists with us in person and would like to bring in Cynthia. Cynthia, you have heard the young people speak today and on multiple occasions during your field visits across India. Would you like to reflect on how you believe they have the power to accelerate the sustainability agenda?
All right, thank you for that. I think this is just a wonderful opportunity to just note a few of the things that I've seen. And I would actually also just recognize the leadership of Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports again, that has a network of over 8 million volunteers. And I think, again, I would say when we give youth opportunity, you all run with it. And that's what we need, action. I think the Prime Minister of India has also given us opportunities. How do you take action? So a wonderful example is Siraj, who has led an effort here in India to clean the Ganga River. And by taking and advocating about the need to have clean water and then taking action. And that's the kind of thing that I've seen. That's the kind of thing that I think we're hearing here. And that's the kind of future that we need to have working together across all sectors.
Thanks so much, Cynthia, for giving us that example and also being a champion of children's and young people's leadership so seriously and making way for them. My next question is to Tenzin from Bhutan. Tenzin, can you share with us how your work on agriculture systems had led to promoting greener practices and a sustainable future?
Hi, everyone. Absolutely. I'd be thrilled to share how my work in agri-systems has contributed to promoting greener practices and a sustainable future, as exemplified by our efforts in Bhutan. As a 23-year-old who has been actively involved in many agricultural projects in Bhutan, my journey has been fueled by a deep passion for rural development and environmental conservation. I've witnessed firsthand the importance of harmonizing our agricultural practices with the natural environment to ensure a more sustainable future for our country. Engaging with the local community through advocacy has been an essential aspect of my work. I've witnessed the positive impact that targeted training and capacity building can have on empowering farmers and promoting sustainable agricultural practices. One of the primary ways of promoted green practices is through knowledge dissemination. By organizing workshops, training sessions, community meetings, I've been able to share innovative techniques for sustainable farming. These sessions cover various topics from organic pest management to climate smart practices to the integration of cover crops for soil health. Empowering farmers with practical tools and information has contributed to a wider adoption of environmentally friendly and economically viable practices. And my journey in the realm of nutrition and health research has been driven by the profound understanding of the intimacy between our dietary choices, the environment, and our well-being. I've had the privilege to contribute to a project that delves into the impact of sustainable agricultural practices on nutrition and public health. One of the fundamental pillars has been to explore how greener agricultural practices can enhance nutritional value of crops by studying the effects of organic farming methods, reduced pesticide usage, and soil enrichment techniques. We've sought to uncover how these practices can lead to a more nutrient-dense produce. This not only contributes to improved public health by providing access to healthier food options, but also aligns with sustainable agriculture's commitment to preserving ecosystems and safeguarding the planet. Another one of my research projects went on to show that a bottom-to-top policy approach ensures that farmers' voices are heard from the outset. By involving them in discussions, policy planning, and formulation, we can create solutions that are not only relevant, but also more likely to be implemented successfully. When they see their input being reflected in policies, they become more motivated to adopt new practices, leading to a smoother transition towards greener practices and sustainable future. Technology has played a significant role in amplifying the impact of these efforts. Leveraging weather forecasting apps, soil monitoring tools, and online resources, farmers are able to make more informed decisions. This synergy between traditional farming wisdom and modern technology exemplifies the holistic approach needed for sustainable agriculture. As we celebrate International Youth Day, let us take this occasion to unite as a global community and support similar initiatives worldwide that empower youth with green skills, creating a generation of change makers dedicated to building a sustainable world for all. Together, we can harness the passion and ingenuity of young minds to address the pressing environmental challenges of our time and forge a path towards a more harmonious and prosperous planet. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Tenzin, for gaining deeper insight in terms of what you're doing and how we can really understand that better. So without further ado, I'm also inviting Zara now from Maldives. Zara, if you can highlight the role of community outreach and citizen science to promote climate consciousness among young people. And I apologize for this, but keeping in mind the time as well, really would be great to hear your thoughts.
Hi, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. So to my role as a research assistant for a local NGO, I was able to be involved in a lot of community outreach, and we also incorporate citizen science in our research projects. So one of the key lessons that we learned based on current environmental awareness efforts in the Maldives is that one-sided information sharing alone isn't enough to generate interest or even taking action on climate change. We can share climate predictions such as climate change being possibly irreversible by 2030 or more plastic than fish being in the sea by 2050. But this alone has not worked to drive young people to create change or become climate conscious. And one of the examples of this that I can see is the problem of littering in the Maldives. Although there's been so much awareness campaigns regarding this, it's still not uncommon to see young people throwing trash to the roads and sea, unfortunately. But In my experience, we have seen how community outreach is a vital tool to involve youth in climate action. We found that young people are aware of climate issues, but sometimes lack interest in taking action, so still not climate conscious per se. So to address this, humanizing the climate issue is very important, which is where community outreach comes in. Recognizing climate impacts at, in our case, an island level, rather than a national or even a global level is what we need at first. So how do extreme storm events in rainy monsoons affect flooding in the island? What can we do about it? One specific aspect of community outreach I want to highlight is using citizen science, which is involving citizens in scientific data collection. So being directly involved in climate change research would allow young people to have a participatory role in combating climate change rather than just a tokenistic role, as Tarshi had just mentioned earlier. We learn from the community and they also learn from us. One example of this is an app that was developed by my organization to monitor beach erosion. So what we did was we placed photo stands on 6 sides of the islands where citizens can take photos of the coastline and upload it on the app. So to do this, we consulted the island community to identify the areas most affected by erosion. And we also held sessions with the community to share why it's important to monitor this and how it can contribute to climate adaptation. We train members of the island to use the app and upload photos regularly. So we involve young people in such activities and they become climate conscious by contributing to creating impacts within their community. So to wrap up, to develop climate conscious young people, it's very important to allow young people to identify the participatory roles they can play to create change at a community level. So through community outreach and citizen science, this would then create interest among youth to venture into this area in larger scales, in national levels, regional levels, and even global levels to make their voice heard. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Zara, for highlighting that various initiatives and stakeholders need to come together to create that impact. So without further ado, now we have our last young leader, Hasini, who's joining us from Chennai, to remind us why we need to continue to invest in youth empowerment towards securing our sustainable future. Over to you, Hasini, take it away.
Greetings to everybody. I am Hasini Lakshmanarayanan. I'm a 15-year-old social entrepreneur. It's such an honor to be amongst all youth today, especially the minister himself, the joint secretary, and the honorable representative, and the host. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And to begin with, happy International Youth Day to all of you out there and to those who've joined the panel online. It is such a wonderful theme that has been given for this International Youth Day, Green Skills for Youth. And I'm so honored that I'm here today, as I mentioned. And I want to address as to how youth play a major role, especially that youth has solutions to every single problem that ever arises in the world. Why not just bring it to the table? Why not just showcase it? What stops them? That's what I've been working on. I've been working on youth empowerment for the past 3 years, and we've been trying to motivate youth to break their nutshell and bring their talents and showcase it to the outer world by interviewing young achievers. And what I noticed is change isn't coming about. And how change comes about is when it starts from you. Similarly, relating it to the present issues that the world is facing, climate change, global warming, hazard is the effects of microplastics and all of that. We can just name a list if I have to call the issues that we're currently facing. Change isn't occurring only because we think the responsibility isn't ours. But believe me, as residents of this world, the responsibility is definitely ours, and we don't have to do it for the betterment of the others or for the future generation, let us alone do it for us. And that's also why I want to quote that for things to change, I must change first. I've seen and noticed a lot of peer quoting that climate change was prone to happen, global warming was prone to happen, and they just rely on the event itself. But what they don't think about is that event which is occurring isn't often in our control. But what we can control is the outcome itself by reacting to the event and responding to the event in the right way. This is a successful formula that has been followed by a lot of successful people, and I'd like to quote it here. E plus R equals to O, which is an abbreviation to event plus response equals to outcome. So as youth and representatives of the world, we are over half the population of the entire world. And why not take the slightest initiative which might create a huge impact? Why not respond to the event in the appropriate way by taking little initiatives which can create a huge outcome for creating a better world for us to live in the future and for the future generations? And that's also why we, the youth, should come together as representatives and stand for the world that we live in. And that would be my say. And I hope that it answers the question. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and signing off this Harsini.
Thank you so much, Harsini, for your insightful thoughts and how we can really work with youth in creating that impact. And I also want to echo what Thakur said about, it's not about tokenism, but equally having a role and an equal partnership with the young people of today. I'm heartened by the collective dedication, determination, and shared responsibility that has emerged from the discussions with our youth panelists, as well as with Shombi, Cynthia, and Sanjay. And as I had suspected, the youth of South Asia are not merely bystanders, they're architects of change. Together, we can transform the challenges into opportunities and ensure that the era of global boiling becomes an era of global healing. Now, without further ado, again, I would like to invite the Honorable Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports, Shri Anurag Thakur, to summarize his key insights from the panel discussions and to also share with us his vision for India and South Asia at large. Thank you so much.
Representative UNICEF, Ms. Cynthia, Joint Secretary, Youth Affairs, as well as DG NYKS, Mr. Nitish Kumar Mishra, Chief of YuWaah at UNICEF, Dwaraka Shriram, Mr. Sanjay, Regional Directors, South Asia, UNICEF, and Mr. Shombi Sharp, UN Resident Coordinator, and one of the young achiever and young leader among us today, Hasni, and others who have joined virtually, as well as my dear young friends. Vanakkam, Namaste, a very good morning to all of you. It is my pleasure to be here amongst you all today and to address you on the occasion of the International Youth Day. Youth around the world have the potential to change the course and dynamics of any country or any region. As some of the panelists mentioned that youth are the custodian, I'll say they are the custodian as well as the largest stakeholder. They are the present and they are the future. So they have a large role to play. And India is one of the youngest countries in the world in terms of the average age. We have a young generation, young population. So our role will be far more important than anyone else. So International Youth Day, which is being celebrated since the past 23 years to address the issues pertaining to the youth. International Youth Day does not just represent the celebrations of the vigor of our youth, but it emphasizes the sheer strength of the collective youth power. When young minds come together, especially in a region as diverse as South Asia, they don't just shape their own nations, they sculpt the future of the entire region and indeed the world. It serves as a day to not just honor their vast potential, but also share their vision and collaborative endeavors that drive peace and mutual respect. I was going through the books written by Hasini. One was the first step and the second one, Biscuits. It talks about the inspirational stories of young minds and such 45 young inspirational minds who have done well in one to the other regions from the age of 5, 9, 13, 15. And you'll wonder what they have done at that such young age. So I think all of us can contribute in one way or the other. And the best thing is to share your vision, and the other is to collect those and share it with others to create more awareness. And this year's theme, Green Skills for Youth Towards a Sustainable World, is particularly timely and relevant. As the world pivots towards sustainability, it becomes essential that we prepare our youth, not just in India, but across South Asia, with the necessary green skills and knowledge. These tools will not just empower them individually, but will amplify our collective impact as a region, guiding the world towards a sustainable and brighter future. Today's youth face unprecedented changes and challenges from climate change, and the rise of the artificial intelligence to the rapidly evolving job market. The role in addressing these challenges is more critical than ever. By 2030, the youth will dominate the global demographic, with a considerable portion hailing from South Asia. With them lies the collective responsibility to influence global narratives and collaborative efforts, especially in addressing the paramount sustainable development goals like no poverty, zero hunger, and good health and well-being. On the birth anniversary of the Swami Vivekananda, which is the 12th January, every year we celebrate the National Youth Day in India, and we organize a National Youth Festival, wherein my young friends from across the country meet for 5 days and pay homage to the ideas and the ideals of the Swami Vivekananda. Last year, Honorable Prime Minister Modi, he attended the event personally, and every year he addresses the youth. He also shared his vision for the youth of this country. As we set our sights on the future, with the ever-changing landscape and the ever-evolving aspirations of our youth, it becomes crucial for our ministry to adopt a flexible and forward-looking stance. We need to enable our youth not just to keep pace with the global shifts, but to lead them. In today's dynamic world, we must be proactive, always anticipating the birth of fresh job avenues that have yet to be imagined. Take the drone market, for instance. Only a few years ago, drones were banned from flying in few places in the country, but we came with a new drone policy. And if I have to talk about the new drone policy, I can say as a minister in the Prime Minister Modi's government, he himself spent so many hours, days after days, making this new policy. He looked at every aspect of the drone policy, from the security point to the services point of it as well. So today, after this new drone policy, they have revolutionized the various sectors, from photography to spray fertilizers. Various sectors such as vital healthcare services that come from the mountain state of Himachal Pradesh. where traveling is little difficult. With the zigzag roads, it takes more time. With a drone-like facility, you can give the essential services like medicines at the doorstep, and also transport the apple cartons from one place to another, which may take 12 hours to reach the other spot. With the drone facility in future, we'll be able to achieve that within couple of hours. So that is the kind of shift we're going to see in many areas. And after the nano fertilizer, it has become much easier in the field of agriculture to spray the fertilizer with the use of drone technology. So to equip our youth for success in the global economy, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports launched the NYKS Youth Volunteers online training program in the year 2022. This program was developed in collaboration with the esteemed partners, the Defeat NCD partnership at the United Nations Institute of Training and Research, and the UN Children's Fund, which is UNICEF, and the NYKS. Close to 2 million young individuals had been trained and essential skills encompassing various aspects of personal and community development through this initiative. By embracing innovation and fostering skills that align with the demands for the ever-evolving world, we ensure that our youths are not only prepared for the challenges ahead, but are also the driving force behind a thriving and prosperous tomorrow, not just for India, but for a broader South Asia canvas. As we celebrate the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the 75th year of independence, Honorable Prime Minister Modi gave a clarion call, Jan Bhagyadari se Jan Andolan, people's participation to people's movement. He has emphasized the role of youth as we enter the Kartavya Kal, which is the 75th year of independence, and work towards the Amrit Kal, which is the 100th year of independence, 2047. Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India, is more than a slogan. It is a rebirth of India's self-reliance and a firm conviction in the capabilities of India's youth. As we edge closer to the milestone of the India at 100, our foremost aim is to achieve the dreams of our forefathers who struggled for freedom against the British Raj. Decolonizing our national mindset is imperative. It requires motivating our youth to prioritize the collective spirit of our nation. A lot is expected out of the today's youth as they venture out into the multiple fields. I would appeal today to the youth of this nation to adopt a cause for the next 25 years. Because one of the panelists rightly mentioned here, the charity begins at home. So at least one area we should pick where we want to see the change and become the change maker. And if you adopt this, set a goal for each week, each month, each year, and that is how we're going to achieve the target. That is your duty. In Hindi, we say, Prime Minister has given the 5 pledge, 5 goals. First is to make the India the developed nation. And the 5th one is your responsibility, your duty towards the nation, which is very, very important for every individual. You can't be only talking about your rights, but you should be talking about your responsibility and your duties as well. So you may choose a cause close to your heart, be it education, be it health, be it sanitation, be it cleanliness, be it tree plantation, be it animal welfare, be it transgender rights, be it women rights, or maybe it be a tuberculosis, where world has set a target for 2031 to make world TB free. India has set a humongous target of, making India TB free by 2025. So how can we contribute in that area? I started doing that few years back. As earlier, I used to work with the program to make India HIV/AIDS free and tuberculosis free. The Global Fund made me the a champion of that field to create more awareness. I used to host many such programs and conferences across the country, create awareness among the policy makers as well as my colleague MPs in the parliament also. You can do that at the grassroots level in your school, colleges, in your community. Take the help of various NGOs or such societies which are already available. So today, my dear friends, India not only stands tall in the global arena, but also holds the revered presidency of the G20, a distinguished platform instrumental in molding the global economic narrative. Underpinning our G20 presidency is a philosophy from our rich tapestry of our values. Vasudev Kutumbakam, the world is one family. The world is a singular family. This profound sentiment encapsulates our guiding philosophy: one earth, one family, one future. In charting the course set by the G20, we recognize that our mission isn't solely anchored by India's youth, but by the dynamic spirit of young people worldwide. Embracing this visionary perspective, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports has spearheaded the Youth 20 Summit, a global podium to champion and magnify youthful voices. Since the onset of 2023, Y20 India has orchestrated an impressive 811 engagements across the country, spanning pivotal themes like the future of work, climate adaptation, peace building, democratic participation, and holistic well-being. These sessions weren't mere dialogues. They covered innovative subjects and concepts, from sustainable fashion shows to in-depth discourses on the existential threat of artificial intelligence. We got such a great feedback, so many new thoughts, so many examples from various parts of the country. The first meeting, which was held in the state of Assam in Guwahati, Assam, they took it to the grassroots level, from the college to the schools. In India, we can say, because I've been interacting with a lot of youngsters who have participated in the Bali and the previous Y20 conferences also. When they came to India, when they saw that how we took it to the each nook and corner of the country to create awareness about the G20, about the subject associated with it. If you go to any school, they can also tell you that India is hosting the G20 presidency and what is the impact of that, what is the role of India, and how we can contribute. Nowhere in the world that something like this has happened. Now, other countries are showing that India has kept the benchmark. Here, it will be difficult to fulfill that, to achieve that in future. So, my dear young friends, sitting here, you can imagine with 1.4 billion population, if you just think for a minute how we can contribute. If we save 1 liter water a day, how many liter waters will be saved? 1.4 billion liters. If we save few units of electricity every household with 300 million houses, even 10 units, if you save 10 units only, how many units are you going to save? If not 1 liter, maybe half a liter of petrol or diesel, we're going to save per day, per family. Can you imagine the kind of contribution we can make towards the environment? What is mission life? Prime Minister Modi talked about it last year in depth, and globally it was received very well. India is not following but taking the lead and giving the leadership today. Not in one sector, but in many sectors. From International Solar Alliance to other sectors. In the past, we have been begging for the technology transfer from the developed countries. Today, India is walking, ahead. We are trying, look at the global crisis when we face the COVID crisis. If we would have been looking at the other countries for the supply of the vaccines, what would have happened to the 1.4 billion population? Vasudev Kutumbakam, world is one family, is not mere slogan. But India delivered during the COVID crisis when no other country could do so. We have supplied vaccines to more than 160 countries in the world. Only India could do that. Vaccine Maitri was a great success. When we meet so many heads of the states and they come and say, half of our population, some say quarter of our population has got the Indian vaccine timely. When others shied away to provide help, it was India who came forward, not only administering 2.2 billion vaccine in India, but also providing millions of vaccine doses to the other countries. So that is the kind of responsibility we have today. As per capita carbon emissions are very less as far as India is concerned, but still, on one hand, we are fulfilling the commitment of providing the electricity to each and every household in the country. We are providing, Cynthia, it's not easy to say, but let me just say it here, what we have achieved in the last 9 years. Talking about the 450 million bank accounts opened in just 3 years span. India does the highest ever digital payments in the world. Total number of digital payments happen in the world. 41% stands for India. Just 2 years span, 3 years span, that is what we have done. On the other hand, if you see, that is also something to do with the environment. We have to print less currency notes and to less transaction and many such things. With the 130 million LPG cylinders, that means less afforestation. On other hand, we are planting more and more trees. That is our contribution towards the environment and the climate change. One after another, look at in the field of wildlife. The number of lions, tigers to others, it is increasing with each passing year. On one hand, Indian economy is growing. We have grown from the 10th position 9 years back to the 5th largest economy of the world. And we are pledging today we will become the 3rd largest economy in the next 3 years in the world. So that is the kind of target what we have set. On one hand, we are creating more jobs. We are getting record FDIs. But at the same time, we are fulfilling our commitment towards the environment and the sustainability. We want to achieve the sustainable development goals. Many countries in the world could not fulfill with the Millennium Development Goals. But we all have to be honest and sincere towards the sustainable development goals. And if you look at the work of the Indian government, 27% people came out of the poverty line in the last 9 years. Less than 1% are under or below the extreme poverty line today. That is the kind of program our government is running today. And the last mile delivery we are ensuring with the use of technology and the transparent working of the government. And we stand committed toward the growth of India, welfare of the poor, and at the same time our responsibility towards the world. And I would like to say here, while we are celebrating the 75th year of independence, Prime Minister Modi has given a call as we celebrate the indomitable spirit of the youth. Prime Minister Modi has given a program, Meri Mati, Mera Desh, a movement, an evocative nationwide call that pays homage to India's martyrs while making 75 illustrious years of our independence. As its core, Meri Mati Mera Desh seeks to ignite a fire of patriotism within the hearts of India's youth, our YuWaah. It is a call for each and every one of them to wholeheartedly embrace their responsibilities as devoted citizens and to break free from any lingering colonial mindsets that hinder our nation's progress. But this campaign, it is not just words, it is about actions that will shape the course of our future across the entire nation in 250,000 panchayats, which covers more than 650,000 villages. We are celebrating this event by bowing down to our soil and by giving a tribute to the martyrs and the brave hearts of this nation. This gesture symbolizes our deep-rooted connection to our motherland and reflects our unwavering commitment to the safeguarding its natural heritage for generations to come. And in each village, which means 650,000 villages, 650,000 villages, we are going to plant 75 trees to make a Amrit Vatika. So can you imagine the youth of India is going to plant 75 trees in each village, making Amrit Vatika, which will be our contribution towards the environment, sustainability. At the same time, less carbon emission, more forestation. It clearly showcases with this one program. On one hand, we're gonna collect soil from each and every village, pay our homage towards the martyrs. On the other hand, the national integration will happen when the youth from each village will go to the panchayat. They will collect the soil, make a pledge towards the nation. Now that soil which will be collected in the Amrit Kalash will be taken to the panchayat level. From panchayat, it will go to the block level. From block, at the block level, there will be a big program organized. For example, at block level, if the soil will come from 100 such panchayats and about 600 villages, now that program will happen. Then the next will be at the district level. Next will be at the state level. From there, the yatras will move from one part to the other part of the country, and all yatras will merge at the national capital. And there, the youth from each district, each block of the country will gather for the final program of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. It's going to be a memorable day for all of us, as thousands and thousands of youth from 7,500 blocks of the country, 750 districts of the country will gather in the national capital when Prime Minister Modi is going to address us. And there also will create a Amrit Vatika and a Shila Falkam, a plaque, showcasing the contribution of the martyrs who have provided us this great country to work for. So I think that this program is going to be a great program for all of us to work. And I request all of you to be part of this Mera Mati Mera Desh program. In cities and in villages, please do your part. The program is available on the website yuwah.gov.in. You can click your selfies and also post while being part of this program. There are a few more things which I wanted to speak, but I won't take more time on that because the time allotted for me, it ends in next couple of minutes. But couple of things I would like to share from my journey so far. I became the Himachal Pradesh Cricket Association president at a very young age of 25. But when I took over, I was looking at these young inspirational stories. They are very young. I was not that young. I was 25 when I became the president. But I had an uphill task in a mountain state like Himachal. We didn't have grounds. Our team never won a single match in Ranji Trophy. And I had only 7 chairs, a typewriter, 2 registers to look at the 50 years of Himachal Pradesh Cricket Association. Media wrote, a youngster has taken over, but what he can do, nothing happened in 50 years. I took that as a challenge. And I said, I'll take these 5 years to make a mark. We didn't have enough funds. We have done 9 lakh rupees in the bank account. In those 5 years, I make 5 new grounds in Himachal Pradesh. I built the Dharamshala Cricket Stadium, which is the most picturesque stadium in the world, by cutting a 300-feet hill and making the world's most picturesque stadium in Dharamshala in those 5 years. And we made the Himachal Pradesh team Ranji Trophy Plate Group national champion in those 5 years. The team which has never won even a single game in the past. So you can do that. If there is a will, there is a way. We need to fix a target and work day and night to achieve that. And I'm sure you all have that fire in your belly. You want to achieve something in your life, not only for yourself, but for the country as well. So pick one area of your interest, pledge next 25 years for that, and be the change. Bring that change in the society. The world see hope in India. The world see hope in the Indian leadership. When the Prime Minister Modi walks at the international platform today, he comes out with the solutions. He doesn't go with the problems. That is the new India. And that is why the world see hope in India. The world see hope in the Indian leadership. And the world see hope in the young India. And this young India will deliver because you are the present and the future. I wish you good luck for your future. Thank you for inviting me here. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you so much to our Honorable Minister, Shri Anurag Singh Thakur, for your inspiring words. Mr. Sanjay Vijayasekara, Mr. Shombi Sharp, Ms. Dwarika Sriram, Ms. Cynthia, and our fellow youth for an enriching and engaging panel. As an ode to the International Youth Day and the leadership potential that young people have repeatedly exemplified, we are initiating the Youth Formation Life Challenge for all citizens, especially youth, to expand their participation in climate change and environment action. I would request all the panelists on stage to kindly come forward and help initiate the challenge. And in lieu of the Green Skills for Youth theme for today, please accept this sapling as a token of our gratitude and appreciation for your participation. I now request Ms. Cynthia to present this token of appreciation to Honorable Minister Shri Anurag Singh Thakur for gracing this occasion and embodying such unrelenting dedication and passion for youth leadership and empowerment. Yeah. I now request the audience to please stand up. We'll now unveil the Youth for Mission Life Challenge in the presence of all of you and our dignitaries. Thank you everyone for making this happen and making this a momentous occasion. A huge round of applause, everyone.
So now I would request the panelists to kindly take their seats on the sofa. So with that, we are headed towards the end of this incredible celebration. but not before I call on stage in the true spirit of public, private, and youth partnerships, Mr. Rajashekharan Nagarajan, Director Software Development, Amazon, to say a few words on our theme, Green Skills for Youth.
Good afternoon, Honorable Minister, dignitaries, and esteemed attendees. It's my privilege to represent Amazon in today's session. I'd like to start off by saying that I'm passionate about reading, and I'm super happy about my job at Amazon as the engineering director for Kindle, where our mission is to enable readers read more with less eye strain and get more out of reading. I am proud that Kindle, which is a magical piece of electronic paper that has been helping save more than 50 million trees every year. Just to imagine, the area of Jim Corbett National Park is roughly about 1,300 square kilometers, which is approximately about 326,000 acres. If we take about 200 trees per acre on an average, almost every year we save more than half of Jim Corbett's trees just with Kindle. So that's what makes me feel very happy for working for Kindle, working for Amazon, and how tech can save and bring sustainability. And Amazon is committed to investing and innovating in sustainability across its businesses to create a more sustainable future. It's important that companies like ours stimulate investment in the development of green technologies and low carbon products and services that will be required to help companies of all sizes and industries to decarbonize their operations. In 2019, Amazon co-founded and was the first signatory of the Climate Pledge, which commits to reaching net zero carbon emissions by 2040, 10 years ahead of its Paris Agreement. 9 Indian companies, including HCL, Infosys, Mahindra Logistics, Tech Mahindra, amongst others, have joined more than 400 signatories from 39 countries worldwide. In India, we are working on a host of programs on renewable energy, fleet electrification, sustainable packaging. So we ask ourselves every day, how can we make this product, this service, or this experience better for our customers? And technology, as you all can imagine, plays a central role in all of this innovation. And with India leading the world with our youth population, there is no better time than now to partner with our youth in this journey. We are committed to enable brighter futures for all young people in India. Amazon Future Engineer is Amazon's signature philanthropic computer science education program. It allows young people from all socioeconomic backgrounds to become active and responsible creators of technology. It's a childhood to career program, which offers coding skills that starts with primary school and continues through the secondary, transitioning into jobs and careers. To date, this program has reached more than 1.2 million students to explore and learn computer science across more than 7,000 government schools in India. Under this program, students learn computer science skills to solve local problems, most of which relate to climate change and action. We are also working on launching a course for students to learn about climate change while they learn on how to code. So stay tuned, see more exciting updates at the intersection of climate action and technology for youth. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nagarajan, for your thoughtful words. I have no doubt that our distinguished guests have left some food for thought for you all to ponder about, and that this will ring in an impact for a longer time, even beyond this Youth Day of 2023. And as the Honorable Minister rightly said, Youth have the potential and the power to shape and dynamics and to change the dynamics of any countries. And importantly, it's not just words, but actions that will change the course of this nation. I thank the Honorable Minister, Shri Anurag Singh Thakur, Ms. Cynthia McCaffrey, Country Representative UNICEF India, Joint Secretary Shri Nitesh Kumar Mishra, Ms. Dwarika Sriram, and Hasni Lakshmi Narayan for your time. Thank you to the United Nations family for putting together this remarkable event to mark this occasion. Thank you to the UNICEF team for the effort to make this happen. And a big thank you to all of you present here, especially the youth, for being a wonderful audience. Let's do more and be more. And before we all head out, I have a very important announcement. We're all going to wait here to have a group photo with the Honorable Minister and the dignitaries. So everybody have huge smiles on their faces and let's get ready for a group picture.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. All the young people present, please come forward so that we can proceed with the photo. It seems crowded in the behind. Feel free to take any way that is possible, but let's have the photo and have fun.